Pull up a chair by the fire. This is Story Night on the Manlihood Mancast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Manlihood Mancast. I'm your host, Josh Hatcher. This is Story Night, and I've got a story for you. Several years ago, I worked at a community center working with youth and young people. It was attached to a church. We had a gym and a great facility, and these kids would come in. We'd have sometimes 10, 15, 20, sometimes 100 kids would come through a night. And they'd play basketball or board games, or we had a bank of computers where we could play computer games, and we could help them with their homework and mentor them. And I loved it. It was a great job, a great experience, and I really, really enjoyed it. There was one young man there who, I'm not going to say he was a troubled kid, because he wasn't the worst of the kids that we had in, but sometimes he would open his mouth and say things he shouldn't. Sometimes he would kind of, he was a little rough around the edges. Not the worst of the kids, but he could be a little rough around the edges sometimes. And, I could tell that he had some stuff that he had to go through as a kid. I knew that his home life had been rough. He didn't necessarily have both his mom and dad at home, and I could tell that things had been rough. I'll just put it that way. Either way, he felt pretty welcomed there, and we enjoyed having him around. Even though he was a little rough around the edges, he always looked out for the younger kids. We enjoyed having him. He was a lot of fun, always telling good jokes. Good kid to be around. And one day, he was just kind of randomly talking. He was upset, visibly upset. And I just said, "Hey, what's going on? What's up?" And he told me, he said, "My dad's in jail, and I haven't heard from him in a long time. And I just found out from my family that he got out of jail a while back. And they've been lying to me and telling me that he's still in jail and nobody really knows where he is. And I just want to talk to my dad. I just want to know he's okay. I want to know where he is." And I'm like, wow, that's tough. That's really tough. Buddy, where do you think your dad is? And he says, "Well," he said, I think he's from Jamaica. I think maybe he went back to Jamaica, but I don't know." And I said, "Really? Jamaica?" My brother just went to Jamaica on a mission trip and is pretty well connected there. And I've got some other friends in Jamaica who are pretty well connected. I could make a couple phone calls and see, maybe we could find him. Maybe we could find your dad. I don't know. Maybe somebody there that I'm connected with knows somebody who's connected. I don't know. We can try. But I'm going to tell you, I can't promise you that I can find your dad. But I know who can. I know who can. I said, "I'm going to pray that God helps us find your dad." And he kind of scoffed because, we're in a church and we're doing a church thing. And, we said that kind of stuff all the time. And at first, he went along with it because he knew, okay. And so, I just touched his shoulder and we prayed. And I said, "God, I pray that you would help his dad call him. Send his dad back into his life. Help us find him. Whatever it takes, help us find his dad." And he's like, "Okay, amen." And we moved on. We didn't see him for a few days. And I see him walking by one day and I say, Hey. I hadn't heard from you. I just wanted to check up on you. I talked to my brother. He thinks that we could probably, if you give me your dad's name, we could probably see if we can find him." And he looked white as a ghost and he says, "Dude, you have no idea. My dad called me last night, out of the blue." So, it had been a couple days after we had prayed and asked God to show up and help us find his dad. And his dad called him. And he wasn't even in Jamaica. He wasn't even in the place we would have been looking. He was in another country. And he just decided to call his son and touch base. And it out of nowhere. We have no idea why he decided to call him after months of just being out of jail and silent. He just did. So I tell you that story because I know a lot of you may not believe in God, and I'm not trying to push anything on you or shove anything down your throat, but I believe that that's what happened, is God answered a prayer. And I've got a lot of stories like that where I've seen something kind of miraculous happen, something too coincidental to be coincidence happen. And it gives me faith and it gives me hope. So my lesson here is, don't be afraid to ask God for a miracle, because people all around you need you to step up and do that.
Thanks for listening to the Manlihood Mancast. Please help us out with a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check us out at manlihood.com.